Today's episode is brought to you by the Positively Grateful Resources Bundle. With a video training and dedicated workbook and some bonus personal stories, this Pay What You Want resource will guide you to a gratitude practice that works best for you. You can purchase this at positivelyproductive.com/resources. There are many aspects to managing stress, and one of them is creating habits that promote a positive mindset. This concept is rooted in the principles of positive psychology, which informs a lot of how I coach. Positive psychology is a field of study that emphasizes human strengths and well-being. And positive psychology suggests that by intentionally focusing on positive emotions, experiences, and traits, individuals can enhance their overall mental and emotional health. They live a better, more satisfying life. A gratitude practice is a powerful tool for fostering that kind of positive mindset. You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zawrotny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a productivity coach certified in positive psychology and stress management. Join me as we explore ways to live a more proactive, positive life with episodes on productivity, self-awareness, mindset, entrepreneur life, habits and systems, simplicity, fun, and more. I understand overwhelm personally as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and as a caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and I'm truly grateful you've joined me today. That's something I say often to you, and I mean it. But it's especially on brand for today's topic. We're bringing back gratitude for another round because, one, it's the season for it. Gratitude's PR in November is quite good, have you noticed? And two, we were due to chat about it again. And it's a topic I'm happy to cover repeatedly because it's simply one of the most effective habits we can embrace, especially for a stressful life. And life is stressful. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either selling something or maybe living on an island somewhere. But for the majority of us, life lifes us regularly. And because we can't stop it, we need to be ready for it. And that's the reality. But that doesn't mean life's not good, too. It can absolutely be both. And identifying that part is a key element of practicing gratitude. But first, let's talk about the stress part. We've covered stress before on the podcast in a number of episodes, and if you want to understand the science of it and different ways to relieve it, you'll want to head to the podcast page of the positivelyproductive.com website. Look for the stress management playlist. The idea of managing stress is important because it's not all negative. One of my episodes specifically covers how you do need some stress in your life to get things done. As a quick review, there's good stress and bad stress. Well, I'm not a fan of the good and bad monikers, but science uses these terms for the impact stress can have on us. So sometimes it's positive. There's a type of stress called eustress that lights a fire under us and pushes us to make things happen. It's the adrenaline trigger before a performance or a presentation. It's what helps us stay focused and awake before a deadline. And it's really helpful for my 11th hour ADHD clients and family. So yay for eustress. I bet you know what I'm talking about. Now the negative one is actually technically called distress. That's the one we know all too well. It's what we mean when we say life is stressful or I'm stressed out. We want to lessen this one because it's a stress linked to so many physical and mental issues. And unfortunately, our world is primed to promote it 24/7. We're pressured to succeed and to, quote, be productive, to do more, to hustle and grind, which is exactly the opposite of what I support. We have financial worries, mental health, and relationship struggles, and we're exposed continuously to negativity through the information that we can access. I love information. I love having Google at my fingertips. But there's a 24/7 news cycle on nearly every platform. from where we watch TV to where we work and the social media we consume. This is troubling enough for the sheer quantity that comes at us each day, but the negativity skyrockets even more during major events like natural catastrophes and election years. And in 2024, when I'm recording this, we had all of that. So my focus on stress management as part of my coaching is even more important than ever. There are many aspects to managing stress, and one of them is creating habits that promote a positive mindset. This concept is rooted in the principles of positive psychology, which informs a lot of how I coach. Positive psychology is a field of study that emphasizes human strengths and well-being, and positive psychology suggests that by intentionally focusing on positive emotions, experiences, and traits, individuals can enhance their overall mental and emotional health. They live a better, more satisfying life. A gratitude practice is a powerful tool for fostering that kind of positive mindset. By actively acknowledging and appreciating the good things in our lives, we counteract our tendency to dwell on the negative, which is actually a very natural tendency that we have. It's a specific bias that we have. So this shift in focus can have a profound impact on our perception of the world and our ability to cope with stress. When we consistently practice gratitude, we train our brains to notice and savor positive experiences, leading to a more optimistic outlook. A gratitude practice cultivates the mindset we need to experience stress differently and overcome it more effectively. There are a number of benefits packed into what I just described. A gratitude practice not only shifts perspective and mood accordingly, it improves resilience. It's also a fantastic mindfulness practice, encouraging present moment awareness. And that is yet another way to reduce stress. Go ahead and research stress relief on the internet, and you will find gratitude practice and mindfulness practice on that list. All of this makes sense when you consider what happens to our brain when we express gratitude. It releases dopamine and serotonin, two hormones that make us feel lighter and happier inside. And speaking of our brains, the same issue that makes multitasking impossible and debunked is also what helps us when we choose positive emotions over negative. We're unable to think two thoughts at once. While we may feel like we're juggling multiple thoughts and feelings simultaneously, research shows that our brains are actually rapidly switching between them. So side note, if you say you're a great multitasker, you're actually a great task switcher. And that's amazing, but again, it's not simultaneous. When it comes to emotions, experiencing opposing feelings at the exact same moment would be challenging. For example, feeling gratitude and resentment simultaneously won't work because our brains tend to prioritize one emotional state over the other. And we can use this to our benefit. Focusing on positive thoughts can make it more difficult to entertain the negative ones. And studies show this to be true. Research found that people with high levels of gratitude have low levels of resentment and envy. Now, with all of this, there's an important caveat I want to add here. We can see gratitude practice as balancing out the negativity, right? Or replacing it. And that's essential. It is a break and a breather from the stress response, and it shows our minds where to focus in a healthy, productive way. But I want to be clear that it is a balance and not a cancellation, not a denial. Gratitude's not an excuse to ignore the hardships in life, especially the impact that those hardships have on us. And this may be why gratitude is sometimes misunderstood. Too often, it's seen as a way to paint over the pain and pretend it's not there. People who do this are using positive practices in a harmful way, and I am not about that. There are unhealthy mindset approaches out there that don't give us space for experiencing the hurt and being able to complain and commiserate and work through it, to acknowledge what's really going on. Now, I've talked about this on the podcast and with my amazing three-peat guest, Valerie Friedlander. If you'd like to learn more, you'll definitely want to queue up episode 114, where we cover toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing, and cruel optimism. So now let's dig in to ways that you can practice gratitude for stress management. To use a gratitude practice for stress, you need to intentionally take time each day to focus on and actively appreciate the positive aspects of your life, whether by writing them down in a journal or mentally reflecting on them, or maybe verbally expressing thanks to someone else. This can help shift your perspective away from stressors. It's a bit of a distraction, right? And also encourage that positive mindset through the habit of seeking out the positive. So ultimately, all of this will reduce your stress levels. Start by choosing a consistent time each day for that habit practice. Maybe anchor it to something else that you do. It could be before bed or first thing in the morning. When I first began my gratitude practice, I did something I jokingly called gratisnooze, and now I think I need to trademark it. Before getting out of bed in the morning, before I put my feet on the floor, I sat there for a moment quietly, and during what would essentially be my snooze time, I listed in my mind 3 things I was grateful for. They could be anything. There are no rules when it comes to practicing gratitude. It can be whatever comes to you that you are appreciating. And sometimes I would list them on my phone eventually just to have them documented, but most of the time I just said them to myself in my head and I smiled. It was a very simple, very fast practice. I got into the habit of doing it that I didn't even think about the fact that I had to do it. Again, the magic of habits. The consistency of the practice is more important than the method. Remember that. But choosing a method is helpful to have a practice that feels good to you. And sometimes there's a little trial and error in that. Do you like to write things down? If that's something you like to do and you're doing it already, it would be amazing to just incorporate the gratitude practice into it. I had also been known to use my planner when I had calendar events. I would add my gratitude right in there for a while. You could also find a quiet place to think alone and just think to yourself. That is a gratitude habit. It doesn't have to be officially documented, but that can be a beautiful thing to experience later and to share with yourself later. And think about, would you prefer to do this practice with someone else? If you are an extrovert and you love engaging in conversation, maybe that's how you need to do it. They're all great options. The best one is the one that you will do consistently. So some different method ideas. Gratitude journal. This is a classic one that everyone thinks of. It's probably what back in the day Oprah brought up to people when they're like, gratitude practice, it has to be a journal. Remember, it doesn't have to be. But if it sounds appealing to you, get one that looks really good and a pen that you love to write with and try it. In it, each day you want to write down 3 to 5 things. And the reason I say that is because it's not too many. 3 is a magic number according to Schoolhouse Rock, and I believe it. So just 3 things that you're grateful for. And here's a tip. Try listing fewer items, like 3 versus 5, but get detailed about why you're grateful. Getting specific with those details makes your practice more effective. Another option, mental reflection. You take a few minutes to actively think about what you appreciate in your life. You can do this like I did my gratisnooze. Go ahead and try that if it sounds good. Or anchor it to another habit you're already doing, like maybe journaling or meditation. Here's a tip. You can do this anytime or place if you're struggling to make the habit happen. So get creative and consider this an option when you're sitting in the car waiting for someone and you're parked in a parking spot. Do it then. Or maybe at your desk before work or just after work. Just some area where it's super easy for you to do. And you just set a timer and go for it. Another idea would be verbal expression. And again, that's great for extroverts and those who really like to externally process. Tell someone you're grateful for them, either in person or through a message. You can use this option to write emails or DMs or note cards if you like that. Thank yous are gratitude in action, and they have a ripple effect far greater than your stress relief. Saying thank you consistently to the people that you interact with in stores, especially when you're in the holiday season and the stress levels are higher, it's good for both of you. Here's a tip. Whether you speak to someone or write a note, be specific in your appreciation. Just as with journaling, those details make your practice more effective and it makes your recipient feel even better. Imagine you receive a thank you note for doing something or just an appreciation. And that's wonderful. But then someone gets into the details of what you did and how it affected them and how much it means. Yeah, it makes it so much more effective. Remember too, that you want to focus on the small things. It's not just big life events. There's not a qualifier for gratitude. Everyday moments like a good cup of coffee, a sunny day, a kind gesture. I can't even count how many times I've had really good ice cream on my gratitude list. You want to be specific, again, when writing or thinking about things you're grateful for. Include those details, make the moment more vivid. And that's for all the reasons I've already mentioned, but also when you review this gratitude, if you've written it down, if you've documented it in some way, and you can look back on it, you can experience it like again, as though you're experiencing it for the first time and get the benefits. And the more detailed you are, the more vivid that will be. And you want to savor these positive feelings. It's not, oh, this is another thing on my to-do list. I'm practicing the gratitude. No, you want to take a moment to fully experience and feel those positive emotions that come with reflecting on the things that you're grateful for. It will really sink into you. So if you need a place to start, ask yourself a couple questions as a prompt, and I'll give you a list that you can choose from. I recommend noting the timing on this episode where I'm talking right now and queuing this up to write them down so you have them. And if you want, feel free to message me and I'll send you the list as well. So answer 1 or 2 per day, no more than 3, I would say. Pick and choose if you like variety. This would be great to have a set of these questions and maybe pick one from a jar and gamify it, have some fun with it. If you're sitting down for a journal session, you could have these written out on the pages of your journal and just keep rotating through them, make up new ones. And these are also great questions when you get together with friends to ask each other. So here are some questions. I have 10 for you. 1. What have I gotten to learn recently that's helped me grow? That makes me feel so good. 2. What opportunities do I currently have that I'm grateful for? 3. What physical abilities do I have but take for granted? 4. What did I see today or maybe over the last week or month that was so beautiful that filled me with wonder? 5. Who at work or in my business am I happy to see each and every day, and why? 6. Who is a person that I don't speak to often, but I would be lost without them? This might be a reminder for you to reach out to them. 7. What am I better at today than I was a year ago, or even a few months ago? 8. What material object do I use every day that I'm thankful for having? 9. What has someone done for me recently that I'm grateful for that was so helpful? And 10. What are 3 things I'm grateful for right now? What are 3 things that I appreciate that make my life better? You'll notice in these questions that it's not always, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? You want to cue your mind to think in a different way. Appreciation, wonder, thankfulness, interest, helpfulness. And you can play with it. If some of these words don't feel like they resonate with you, change it up. Go grab that thesaurus and find another way to ask yourself a question so that your mind responds with the goodness in your life. And if this is a good start, but you could still use more help and you'd like more support and more ideas in developing a gratitude practice, I have a wonderful resource for you. With a welcome video and training, a dedicated workbook, and bonus personal gratitude stories, I have a pay what you want resource that will guide you to a gratitude practice that works best for you. It is the Positively Grateful Resources Bundle. So you can go to positivelyproductive.com/grateful or find this and other free and low-cost resources on the resources page of the positivelyproductive.com website. As we end the episode, let's end on a note of gratitude. May I say again how grateful I am to have you here with me each and every week. For all the years of podcasting, and while I am so grateful for these incredible numbers like being a top 3% worldwide podcast, having over 200 episodes and over 34,000 downloads, all of those things, those statistics that tell me that what I'm doing matters. What makes me most grateful is how amazing this has been as a form of connection and commiseration, and hopefully for you, but also for me, inspiration. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback or questions, you can find me through the Connect page of the positivelyproductive.com website. And if you're looking for any of the resources mentioned here, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.